I'm just Nick, and this is the EWS BMC bass mid-range control. Why do I have to say this every time I do a bass demo? I don't know, but I do. When I grow up, I want to be a bass player. And bass players understand subtlety. Guitar players do not. Bass players understand that often one note is sufficient, and one good note is worth an infinite number of lame-ass notes. Guitar players do not understand this. I speak as a guitar player. When I grow up, I want to be a bass player. Speaking of subtlety, this pedal is about subtlety, about powerful subtlety. What this is what's known as a parametric EQ, okay? A parametric equalizer or tone control, specifically tuned to mid-range frequencies. What a parametric EQ is, it is an EQ that allows you to boost and cut a frequency range and select that frequency range with a knob. So the outer knob here selects what frequency range we're going to boost and cut, and the inner knob selects how much we're going to boost or cut it. This is different than a graphic equalizer, where you have a bunch of sliders, and each one of them is assigned to a specific frequency range, and you can boost or cut. This one, you choose the frequency range through a continuous range of frequencies. Am I making sense? I'm saying frequency a lot. I know that's got to help. So let's see what this does in actual practice, okay? I'm just going to play a note and let it ring out. Now, right now in the center detent, I should get exactly the same tone with the pedal on or off. And in fact, I do. It's really not in any way altering my tone. But if I let this note ring out and I go to full boost, okay, you're going to hear that we're boosting now some low-mid frequencies, and as we sweep up, we're boosting high-mid frequencies. It's almost like a wah when we sweep it. Likewise with cut. If I go full counterclockwise with the center knob, I'm cutting first low mid-range frequencies and then higher mid-range frequencies. So as I move up, the low mid-range frequencies come back because I'm not cutting them anymore. Now I'm cutting higher mid-range frequencies. So why all this attention to the mid-range? Well, what can I say? The mid-range is kind of where the character of a guitar or bass tone is at, or a guitar or bass as an instrument. That's where the character is at. Our ears are particularly responsive to mid-range frequencies. I think it's for evolutionary reasons. I suspect it has something to do with the fact that speech and even pre-speech animal communication often falls into those ranges for our primate forefathers and mothers. So we hear mid-range frequencies in a very particular way. We don't need to get too deep into that today, but it is kind of where we locate the character of an instrument. When we talk about the timbre of a guitar tone or bass tone, often we're really talking about, to a large degree, what's happening in the mid-range. So you can really change how your bass sounds and feels and comes across, and sort of the whole vibe of your tone, just by messing with the mid-range. So you can get these very hollowed out sounds, for instance, if we really cut the low mid-range frequencies, right? And with some subtlety, we can just sweep up a little bit. We're still on the low side of the spectrum here, but we're putting back some of those real low mid-range ones, and we're making a little scoop in the sort of mid-range. As we continue to go up, now we're going to begin to roll off the upper mid-range frequencies and give ourselves a kind of thuddier, darker, sort of more solid sound. And go up a little bit higher again, remember, as we sweep up, we're not just cutting higher mid-range frequencies, we're also restoring some of the low ones because we're sort of moving past them with our cut. Now we begin to kind of emphasize, relatively speaking, the lower mid-range frequencies and get more kind of a P-bass growl thing going. And that's all with subtractive EQ, right? We're cutting frequencies. We're not boosting anything. And there's real advantages to kind of sculpting your tone subtractively that way. It kind of can give you some kind of fairly characteristic, even extreme sounds without them sounding harsh and too boosted. On the other hand, if we go with boost and we really boost those low mid-range frequencies, we can get a very aggressive sort of grunty tone. And as we sweep up, and again I'm at full boost, so we're going to sound a little extreme here. We start to get a more of a kind of almost boxy and really in-your-face sort of mid-range boosted sound. And we go up a little bit further, we're starting to boost the upper mid-range. We get a brighter sound, but that's still cutting through. It's not real high frequencies, it's upper mid-range frequencies. And then we go up to the extreme here. We get a lot of extra detail by boosting those very high mid-range frequencies. But if we go somewhere in the middle and don't go to the extreme with the boost, just a little bit of a boost somewhere in the middle there, we can go from a sound that is nice, you know, it's kind of neutral, to one that just has a little bit more of a forward quality. So we have this huge range of ability to sculpt, but sculpt in subtle ways, and those are the ways that actually make the difference, because when you hear a tone that's sculpted that way, it does not sound artificial or processed, and it does the job you want it to do in the musical context. For instance, this pedal would be amazing. You know, you step up on a stage for a sound check, or maybe you didn't even get a sound check, in a room you've never played in with a rented backline, and you have to dial in your sound real quick in a way that's going to sound right in that room on that stage with that gear. And really, you're going to be able to do that just by manipulating the huge kind of range of mid-range frequencies here and either boosting or cutting with just this control right here. It's amazing what you can do to put your tone across just by messing with the mid-range, and you could very easily, I imagine, sort of tune your tone to the situation with just this control without ever sounding like you're really processing your tone or like you're doing anything to it that, you know, doesn't really relate to the instrument and perhaps even the amp you're plugged into. Just for informational purposes, I'll tell you that I'm plugged into a 112 SWR combo with all the tone controls set flat, and I'm playing this pretty you know, run-of-the-mill Schecter bass with active pickups in it, and all the controls there are set flat, so all the tone shaping is coming from the pedal. What can I tell you? I like the small format. You know, you could easily just you know, carry this around in your gig bag if you're not an effects and pedal type of person, and have it there available to you to sculpt your tone just when you need it and give you a really wide range of tones. It's about subtlety. It's about subtlety, so it's for you bass players. Us guitar players don't get it. We're like, if it doesn't make me sound totally friggin' different, then, you know, why do I want that? I need a magic box that's going to make me sound like, I don't know, a god. Anyway, until next time, this is just Nick, who, when he grows up, wants to be a bass player.